Okay, Malin, so my parents came to the UK in the mid-1960s. Like very traditional Indian families in the UK, they opened a grocery store selling everything. From this, there was a lovely customer they had, a very, very nice gentleman who persuaded them after a few years to open a liquor shop. They applied and they got a liquor license 1972. So they were really the first Indian family in the UK to get a liquor license. And then in '99, my parents retired. We sold the business completely. And that's when my brother and myself decided we were going to try and go into the whiskey business full time. It started when I was young, you know, seeing spirits.
Yeah.
And I think for me what was really, the thing I remember most is that the single malt whiskey, we had a very small selection of maybe 10, 15 different types of single malts, and they were always on the top shelf.
Okay.
And you know, when a customer used to come to buy a single malt whiskey, I used to get the ladder, climb to the top, you know, bring this bottle down, and I felt there was something quite special about this. As soon as we sold the shop, we bought a small warehouse. We moved into the warehouse literally 1 month after selling the shop. Our friend started building the website. 6 months later, we had a website. What happened was I, as part of my business, became a specialist dealer in Bell's decanters. Okay?
Yes.
Today it sounds funny or strange, but in those days Bell's decanters was a phenomena, really. And there was a particular Bell's decanter called the Joyous Wedding Bell. And this was, after my research, available in only 2 markets. It was available in Hawaii, and I found out it was available in France. So I did some research of where in France I could find this. I had heard of Maison de Whisky, so I just phoned up and said, I'm looking for Bell's decanters, Joyous Wedding Bell, do you have any? And the gentleman on the other side of the phone was Thierry Beneteau. We both kept in touch with each other a little bit. I used to buy some products from him, he used to buy some products from me, which were, you know, exclusive to us or only available in the UK and only available in France. So really that's how our journey began. Being online gave us a very big advantage that people found us, and we got orders for, you know, 2 bottles, 3 bottles, 6 bottles. You know yourself, Japan was at the forefront of single malt whiskey. For us, you know, for me and as an individual, I learned so much from Japanese bartenders back then when I first started in the late 90s, early 2000s. And I started getting lots of orders from bars in Japan, all over Japan. And they were ordering literally once every 2 weeks, 12 mixed bottles. Yeah? So this amazing stock of, you know, Brora 1972s, Ardbeg 72s, Ardbeg 74s. So I did my first independent bottling in 2000, purely for ourselves. It was a Glen Grant 31-year-old in sherry cask. With a very simple label. You don't see it very often. Over time, we started doing more and more. And then over time, we started buying casks to keep for the long term, probably from around 15 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, at least 15 years ago. Okay. And I think what I did, which was very sensible, was when I found liquid, which I really liked, it doesn't matter about age, whether it was young or it was old, if I had an opportunity to buy a small parcel, I would buy the parcel. So rather than having variety, I was more interested in quality. So when I found something good, I just wanted lots of that. Yeah? And I still have casks from then, which I'm still bottling today. It's quite recent.
And why?
So you've probably heard that we're looking to build a distillery.
Yeah.
So that's the next stage of our growth, you could say. Again, I had never planned to do a distillery.
Yeah.
This is really, it happened by accident. And that's because, so 10 years ago we launched ASKAIG as a separate brand. We kept it away from the Whisky Exchange because for me it was a brand. Yeah. We wanted to create something. At the time when I launched Port ASKAIG, I had access to as much liquid as I needed. So for me, it was beautiful. It's in the middle, yeah? Because I don't have a distillery, you could argue it's not. Correct?
I understand.
Yeah? So for me, it's in the middle. I've tried to make it a brand. I've tried to keep the liquid as consistent as we can.
Yes.
We do one core, or currently 2 core expressions, 8-year-old and 100 proof, and everything else is small batch.
Yes.
So what we do, as I said, we reject the things we don't like, and occasionally we find 1 or 2 casks which are actually quite special. So we put those aside, yeah? And then we try and use those for single casks. And this 1997 is one of those single casks. Then we have our independent bottling range, Single Malts of Scotland. What I think, to prove that, you know, our selection is pretty good, I think when we're looking at the important review sites at the moment, we constantly get very good ratings. You know, I think so that just shows a testament to the team on the cask selection and how strict we are.
Okay.
Yeah. I will say that occasionally you get it wrong, but one thing to remember, Marlene, which is no one really talks about, when you try a sample of a cask and when you bottle it, it changes.
It does.
Yeah? Usually for the better, occasionally for the worse. So when we've bottled something and it's not been, you know, what we hoped, it's because it's actually gone the wrong way. But fortunately, it happens very rarely. So yeah, we also have Single Malts of Scotland Director Special. So this is for what we call a slightly older liquid, a more precious liquid. We don't do many bottlings, maybe 1 or 2 a year, because we don't have that much amazing aged stock. But it's good. It's good. I love this business.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're a happy man.
I'm still a happy man. I think you're right. When I'm not happy, I will probably stop. But I think there's too many sides of the business. Yeah. You know, whether that's now going into production, building a distillery, which is a new challenge. There's a new excitement. I think to take everything I've learned over the last 30 plus years, and, you know, put it into a product or into products that I know, which either there's a gap in the market or either, you know, they're different, that they work, you know, what we think, what we feel is what the consumer wants. I think one of the reasons we've been very successful, similar to Thierry, is because we're not in it for the business. We're in it because we love what we do. And I think that's what has made us really successful.